Hey guys, what is going on? Sharp Thinking here. So I wanted to do a little bit different of a video today for you guys. I wanted to do a budget video. I have not done a budget video in quite a long time, and one of my buddies actually hit me up and asked why I don't do budget videos, and I don't really have a good reason for it, especially when it pertains to knives like this. This knife is doing a lot of things right. This is a Kershaw blur, by the way, but I'm assuming you guys saw the video title. This knife is like between 50 and 80 bucks, depending on what steel you get it in. This is a really, really good knife for the money. I mean, it is astonishingly well done in terms of design. Before I go any further, let's start it off with a size comparison. Here it is against a Chris Reeve Sabenza 21 and a Chris Reeve Umnumzon. Let's see, here it is against a Strider SNG and a Hinderer XM18. Here it is against a Spyderco Military and a Microtech SOCOM. Do a few more. Native 5 and the North Arm Skaha 2. What else do we have kicking around here? The LUDT and the American Blade Works Model 1. Very similar in size. Now, I guess we will start with the handle, as I typically do. This is a very simple handle design. I love it. It is comfortable to grip, it's contoured, it's nice, it has a little bit of traction, same stuff that the SOCOM has, by the way. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. So first thing I noticed with this knife is that although it has the tiger stripe blade and it kind of looks like it could be a ZT, there's no jimping on the knife except for right here, and it is completely useless, which is perfect. This is what I like to see. And there's jimping on the liner, but it's also pretty useless, which is good in my book. Here's why I say that. If you've ever held anything in your hand, like, you know how a hand works, you don't really need jimping. Like, I can hold, you know, whatever I want in my hand, like scissors or just whatever it is. If you need all that jimping, it's, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know anybody that really has a use for jimping, at least that I talk to. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, aluminum handle, it's 6061. That's what AR lowers are made out of, or 7075. But it's still a T6 grade aluminum. Very good stuff. It's got spacers going on, so no back spacer. I know a lot of guys like spacers. I don't really care either way. On this knife, I do like the way it looks. It's just very clean and simple, and I think if they had a back spacer, it would be, for the money, it's hard to fit a back spacer to where it looks good, and I think they would have put like a nylon or plastic one in, so I'm happy that they did the standoffs. Screws. Not the most high quality screws. You can strip these out fairly easily. Not easily per se, but they are small torque screws, as opposed to, say, a T20 or a T10, something along those lines. It's going to be much harder to strip. But yeah, I've not had any of my Kershaw screws strip. I've gotten Kershaws with strip screws, but it's not been a problem for me personally. So yeah, ergonomics, very simple. You can grab it in a large number of ways. Not that I'm really doing a reverse grip ever, but sometimes, you know, you want to get a grip like this. it's comfortable. It doesn't feel like the ergonomics are forcing your hand to be in any one spot. You can grip a little bit further back. You can grip all the way up, even further. It's, in my opinion, a good thing going on with the ergonomics. Moving on to the blade. Oh, guys, finally. Look, you all know thickness behind the edge. I fucking talk about it in every single video I do. This is great. It's so thin behind the edge. It's remarkably thin behind the edge. It feels like it might be 10,000ths. I mean, it's right there with the LUDT. Only difference is this knife is a hollow grind. Hollow grinds are going to stay thinner behind the edge for longer. That means you're going to have a better performing knife for longer. That's a great thing. I mean, this is... It has to be half as thick behind the edge as a PM2. If not half, very close to it. 14C28N. I like 14C28N. It gets sharp. It's easy to strop. If it has a good heat treat, it'll treat you pretty well. You're not gonna chip the edge out or anything. At least I don't think, unless they burn the factory edge, which Kershaw sometimes does. ZT does it. Kershaw does it. Almost every manufacturer does it, honestly. Chris Reeve is one of the few that does not, in my experience. They wet grind and sharpen using a water-cooled system. But it's not about this knife. Made in the USA, I love that. That is so good, in my opinion. And it reiterates something that I feel like a lot of people may neglect. And that is, you can get really fucking nice knives made in the US for not that much money. I always hear, ever since this USA made thing has started, people say, oh, well, I can't afford USA made knives, and they're buying $250 Wii's. Well, nobody's telling you to go out and drop $425 on a Hinderer or $550 on a Sebenza. It's right here, you know? Like, and this is not the only knife that Kershaw has done an exceptional job with that's made in the USA. The Link is really good. I like this more than the Link, honestly. The Knockout is incredible. I absolutely love the Knockout. It's thin behind the edge. It cuts really, really well. It's ergonomic. It makes sense. It's not a dumb, flashy design. Like, you can get a lot of knife for, in this case, $60 in the USA. This is not, I mean, I don't think it would fail on you. I don't want to spine whack this blur because, well, I don't want to fuck it up. But I know that ZT and Kershaw have had some lock fitment issues in the past. I've never had one fail on me personally, unless I really wanted it to. And I was just spine whacking the shit out of it for no reason. But that's me being an idiot and not the knife failing per se. But then again, I've gotten this knife to fail before. It's only done it once. I haven't been able to replicate it, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty good situation going on. Let's talk about fit and finish. So, oh, one thing I forgot to mention. These knives come assisted. A lot of people do not like the assisted Kershaws. You can see here, this is completely unassisted, or de-assisted. This is one of the few Kershaws that has a detent hole in the blade and a detent ball. Well, all of them have a detent ball in the liner, but you can hear that. It's a very light detent, but it is extremely functional. You can shake the knife out. There we go. Not super easy, but yeah, you can de-assist this, which fixes about 50% of the issues I ever had with this knife. I really don't have any major issues with it. It's just such a clean design. It has an aftermarket clip. I can't remember what the original clip looks like to even talk about it. But thumb studs, I think these are nice thumb studs. You don't really, like, they work. You're not going to slip off of them. They offer probably the most traction of any thumb stud I've ever seen. So definitely good. I can't really see any downsides to them being this kind of pointy style that Kershaw decided on. Yeah. So I guess I'll talk about different versions. You can get this knife in a large variety of colors. They make a Tanto. They make a flat ground, which is S30V. They make a CPM 154 version, which I think was discontinued a while ago. Yeah. Super cool. I think most of them are going to be either S30V, 14C28N, or that BDZ1 steel that they use. I don't know what that is really. I've only seen it on the Tanto blade, so I don't know. If you guys know about that steel, please learn me something. But I don't know. But yeah, getting back to fit and finish. Fit and finish is surprisingly nice. You can see that there's little shortcuts that they took to make the knife this inexpensive. For instance, they, instead of having, what's a good example of this? So with this Spyderco Military, you can see there's screws on both sides anchoring into these standoffs. In this knife, they just go straight through the standoff and they go into the aluminum. Aluminum is strong enough to be able to manage that. I think you'll hear some varying opinions on it, but I think in my own defense, I've never seen, other than stripping this, which is possible, if you're careful and you know how to take apart a knife, or just know how to take anything apart, you shouldn't have any issues. Of course, use intuition. Do not force anything. These are screws. They should come together pretty easily. But yeah, I don't think this is going to really affect too many people unless you're one of those guys that takes their knife apart a lot. Centering on this, you can see, really good. I mean, not that centering has too much to do with quality. I think a lot of people associate it with it, which I would say so. However, I think people might rely on it too much, which I could talk about in a separate video. But yeah, all in all, I always forget how much I like this knife. Even if you're into higher end knives like I am, like I'm such a big Microtech fan, Strider fan, Hinderer fan, Chris Reeve fan, but still, like, I can appreciate this knife. It's doing what a lot of knives outside of its price range, outside of, I mean, shit, like the Chris Reeve is 10 times the price of this guy. This knife is thinner behind the edge than this. It's not that much thinner, but it's, I mean, it's a good 5 thousandths, I would say. But yeah, there you go. Drop shutty. For those of you guys that are into that. This is a great knife. I've said it before in this video, I don't know how this is not a more loved EDC design. I definitely understand how it's made it in Kershaw's lineup. Kershaw tends to discontinue knives left and right every year for almost seemingly no reason. This knife has been around for, I would say, well over a decade. When I first got into knives, I was probably 13, I want to say. This knife was around, and I'm 22 now, so it's been at least 9 years. I don't know. I feel like these came out in 2004 for some reason. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but where am I getting that from? So at one point, I had a conversation about somebody that said that they wouldn't buy a Microtech because they could just get this. And I think I may have looked up when this knife came out relative to this to see who copied who with the grip tape. This knife, I think, came out in 2004, and this knife came out back in 1997 or 1998. I can't remember if the dates are right on this, but I know that the SOCOM came out first. That I am 100% positive on. But anyway, I'm getting distracted at this point. So, yeah, I mean, this is, like, I don't know. Sometimes I can fool myself into thinking that, you know, an inexpensive knife is not going to be able to handle my EDC tasks. But really, this knife is capable of everything that my EDC consists of and more. I mean, I really don't need an Emerson to EDC. I'm not in combat. I'm a college student. I don't need an LUDT. These knives actually kind of remind me of each other in a weird way. Like, I don't need a military. It's all things I want. Like, this could easily cover my bases. Very easily, and for much less, much less than any of the other knives I typically EDC. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you all watching. Definitely check these out. Sometimes you can get them on sale for $49.99, I want to say. So right under $50. At that price, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. But yeah, if you can, check them out. I highly recommend it. I don't think anybody would be really let down by this, especially for the money. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.